Sup, freaks? It's your boy Marty Bent here to introduce this episode of Tales from the Crypt. I had the immense pleasure of sitting down with a Bitcoin boomer, Gary Leland, who organizes and runs the BitBlockBoom conference every year in Dallas, Texas. I've been to both that have happened so far. It's an incredible conference that I like attending and participating in starting last year. And so we just sat down to shoot the shit. This is a pretty laid-back episode talking about a bunch of different topics, including surfing, Gary's trip to Texas from Charleston, South Carolina when he was younger, and why he started the conference, his experience in podcasting. Gary's been in the podcasting game for quite some time, and a bunch of other stuff. It was a fun one for me. I hope you guys enjoy this. This episode's brought to you by our good friends at the Cash App. All right, you already know all about them. They're helping you stack sats, send sats, receive sats, sell sats if you so please. They made sats the standard in the app. You're buying whole satoshis now, not fractions of a Bitcoin, if you toggle it to denominating your UTXO holdings in sats. On top of that, they have Cash App Investing, which allows you to invest in slivers of stonks if you want to. You have the ability to buy stonks on the Cash App now. If your favorite stonk is a little too expensive, you can buy as little as $1. Because it's all connected to your bank account, there's no 4 to 5 day waiting periods. You can start stacking sats in and investing today. And hey, Cash App may even be your bank account. They have account numbers and routing numbers. You can get your paychecks direct deposited into the app and ditch old banks if you want to. Cash App Investing is a subsidiary of Square, member SIPC. And as always, make sure you use the code STACKINGSATS. That's one word, STACKINGSATS. When you download the app, you're going to get $10, and $10 is going to go to our good friends at Owls Lacrosse. That's Owls Lacrosse. Use the code STACKINGSATS. Download the Cash App and enjoy this episode with Gary Leland. I had an immense pleasure sitting down and just having a lighthearted conversation with a very interesting man. Enjoy. Take care.
You've had a dynamic where money's become freer than free.
If you talk about a Fed just gone nuts, all the central banks going nuts.
So it's all acting like safe haven.
I believe that in a world where central bankers are tripping over themselves to devalue their currency, Bitcoin wins. In the world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin is the victor.
I mean, that's part of the bull case for Bitcoin.
If you're not paying attention, you probably should be.
What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. It's your boy Marty Bent here on a lovely Friday afternoon, sitting down with a fascinating man, a very interesting man, Gary Leland, founder of the Crypto Cousins podcast, the BTC Podcasters Network, and organizer of the BitBlockBoom conference in Dallas, possibly the only in-person conference that will happen in Bitcoin this year. Gary, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Howdy. Good to be here. Hadn't seen you in a while. I kind of missed, I told my wife this year I was going to do more traveling to conferences than I've probably ever done in my life. I haven't gone anywhere except to Tone Base's conference, which is a good conference, but I've been to one conference, and this was my year, I told her.
Was it unconfiscatable?
Yeah, it was a good conference. It was Vegas. I hadn't been to Vegas in so long that it was interesting to go to Vegas. But yeah, it's amazing how this whole year's turned around from I was going to hit maybe 2 or 3 conferences a month. I was planning on coming up there and doing this in person with you. And
right.
Now I've been nowhere. Yeah. And now BitBlockBoom, like I said, will probably be the first conference and one of the only conferences of the year. I mean, because we're pretty much on lockdown here. So,
yeah, hopefully things start to open up. BitBlockBoom scheduled for the weekend of August 29th at the moment, and hopefully things are on the same trajectory that they are now, where things will be opening up and we'll be able to meet in person.
And today is 75% day for restaurants. Up till today, it was 50%. I truly think, and I could be wrong because I'm not a scientist, nor do I work for the government, but I feel like they've just said, the hell with it. Let's just let everybody catch it and get it over with. As long as we can keep the hospitals so we can manage them. and they aren't people in the aisles and people dying like crazy. Let's just let it go. And if it gets out of hand, we'll shut it down. But until then.
Yeah, it's how long can you keep people home from work? At some point, you just have to accept the risk, and at least in my mind,
I don't think you can take them back now. I think you've opened it up. People can go to hell with you. I'm not going back.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if that second wave ever materializes that they've been talking about. Hopefully it doesn't. I have my fingers crossed that it doesn't, but we'll see.
And it's according to what news you watch. I was watching national news last night. My wife watches. She doesn't really pay attention to news. She just likes watching it for some reason. And she was watching network news, and they were saying, that everything's all going crazy in Texas again. And then the local news came on, and it said, hey, we got less cases. People in the hospital and cases are down. So, so I guess it's according to what you watch, though. But I think the rest of the world wouldn't be watching the Dallas-Fort Worth news about Texas. They'd be watching the national news.
Yeah, I try to stay away from it all.
Yeah.
As much as possible. Though it gets hard when you're on Twitter. People put it in your face sometimes.
Yeah, people put a lot of stuff in your face. I kind of unfollow people who put too much stuff in my face that I don't care about.
Yeah.
What
do you care about, Gary?
Just having a good time. I'm 65. Hell, what do I got? 20 years left? I mean, let's face it. I'm 65. So I care about going out, having fun, enjoying life. I do what I do because I enjoy it. I work a lot. But, I don't have to work. I mean, I could just sell my businesses, or I could even shut them down and just live the rest of my life. But I do whatever I do, I like doing, or I wouldn't do it at this point in my life.
Well, this makes a lot more sense after our pre-record conversation, where I found out that we have both lived in the same city before, in Charleston, South Carolina, and you were the captain of the surfing team down there.
Yeah,
what was that like?
At the time, it was great. We would go out to the beach maybe on Saturday or Wednesday or whatever day it was, and we would have orange T-shirts we'd wear because we were the James Island Rams. And if we surfed against Bishop England High School, they would have green shirts. And it was just like a surfing competition. We'd go out there and we'd spend the afternoon at the beach. And Mr. Sullivan was the hippie teacher at school. He played music in his class. This was in 72, 71. He played music in his class, rock and roll music, and had long hair. And we all had long hair, but back then, though. But, yeah, we'd surf. It was great. I mean, I spent 7 days a week, almost 365 days a year at the beach. I had a wetsuit for winter. I mean, I did a lot of surfing. I got a new surfboard 2 times a year. Yeah.
It's I've never surfed on Folly. I have family in Myrtle, so we would go up to Myrtle, and that's where I actually learned to surf. And I'd spend summer with my grandparents up there. And I surfed Myrtle a lot, but never got to Folly. I was always too young for Folly.
I surfed Myrtle, Nags Head, North Carolina. We went up there camping to surf. We surfed a lot of places. We enjoyed it. I mean, that's what we did. I mean, when we were really small kids, we would surf. Couldn't drive, so we'd hitchhike to the beach, with our surfboards. And we only lived maybe 6 miles. We were on James Island, and we surfed on Folly Island. And we lived like 6 miles from the beach. But it's so funny. Cars back then were so big that we could put our surfboard sometimes in the trunk of the car, and they could close the trunk. I mean,
well, it's a funny you mentioned that, because this morning I actually went surfing. I got out this morning, and drove to a spot, and I wanted to take my car, but it was too small. I have not got surf racks on my roof yet, and so I had to ask my sister-in-law if I could borrow her car, because my board didn't fit in my car.
What size is your board?
I got a 9.2.
9.2. Oh my gosh, that's a big board.
Yeah,
or compared to when I was a kid, my biggest board I ever had was 8.4, and at the end I think I had a 6.1. But I got down to my smallest when I was in high school. Small boards were big. I had 5'4" was what I had.
Yeah, I used to ride like a 5.7, but then I grew up and I got too big. I'm like I'm like too heavy for those boards now.
That's the same thing. Surfer Jim said, come up to when I come up there, he'd take me surfing. I haven't been surfing since 79. I mean, and now I weighed 165 maybe at the time, and now I'm 210, so I'm 50 pounds overweight and 40 something years older, I don't know how to do it. It's it's kind of funny whenever I talk surfing, my claim to fame I always claim is I owned the first twin fin surfboard on the East Coast.
What? Really?
Yeah, it was a Hobie. It was the demo board that Hobie sent down, and it was like nobody liked it. And I said, I'll try it. And I tried it and liked the hell out of it, so I bought it from McKevlin's Surf Shop on Folly Beach. So that's my claim to fame. And when Skegs came out, or not Skegs, but leashes for your ankle, which now that's an accepted thing. I'm sure everybody uses. But we didn't have those when I was a kid. And I remember when the guys who invented those were traveling down the East Coast trying to convince people they would buy them. And they stopped by in our surf shop because if we weren't on the beach, we were in the surf shop because it was low tide waiting for waves,
Right.
and answering the phone, how's the waves? And we go, oh, they're terrible. Stay home, But I remember they came and they were showing us this piece of elastic they had that you drill a hole into your skeg because there was no way to hold it on there. And so you drill a hole into your skeg and clip it on there and put it around your ankle. And I was like going, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. Because, when you lose your board and you're way out there in a big storm, you got to swim all the way to shore. That's a chore. And getting back out again.
Yeah, I had that experience. I think it was Hurricane Irene or Dennis, I forget, like in 2011 or 2012. The break was like a couple 100 yards out, and my leash snapped, and I had to swim in from like 150 yards out.
I had to do that all the time. One winter, as a matter of fact, I was surfing and had my full wetsuit on. And it was a storm because they were just huge waves. And I fell off my board and it threw me under. And I must have had a really crappy wetsuit, but I was only like 14. I couldn't afford very much. My parents didn't buy anything. I would give the surf shop like $5 a week for my surfboard. And so I had, I guess it was crap, but it filled up with water completely inside the suit. I feel like it was if someone had pumped water in the neck. And so I'm swimming to shore because my surfboard's up there on the shore, and I'm going, I'm not going to make it. I'm seriously thinking I'm not going to be able to swim the rest of the distance, and my legs are starting to sink. And I'm going, I'm dying. I can see myself dying. And then when I get up to my neck, and I'm kind of like, my feet touch the ground. And I was like, oh, cow. If I'd had to go 50 more feet, I don't think I could have made it.
Yeah, that's always scary.
Yeah.
And that's it. That instance where my leash fell, where it broke, I actually broke. I was getting back out into the lineup, and a rogue set came, and it was probably like an hour and a half into that session. My arms were rubber. I just couldn't get over the wave.
And you're paddling out there the whole time just to stay still normally in the same location instead of being 5 miles down the beach.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that if you've got a tide going from left to right or a current, you're just trying to stay within walking distance of where your stuff is.
Well, especially in South Carolina, that southeast chop down there is much heavier than it is up here in Jersey.
One of my favorite experiences, or fondest memories, should I say, I had a brand new surfboard. It was Surfboard Australia was real big on our beach at the time. They had a shop. And I just had the surfboard in like 2 weeks. And I traded my old board, and they give me a credit, and I do another one. So I always was paying $5, a week forever on surfboards. But anyway, the storm was really bad, and the current that was going to the south really bad. And I stood up and looked, and oh my gosh, I was like 20 feet from the pier. And I headed to the pier because I was goofy-footed. So I'm headed to the damn pier. And I'm like, holy cow, do I jump off? No, I don't have a leash. If I jump off, my board's probably going to get broken in half hitting the pier. So I shoot the pier, on the wave just because I'm too stupid and can't afford to lose my surfboard because I won't have another one. And I come through, and it's like I'm the hero of the day. Everybody's going, I've never seen anyone shoot the pier. I'm sure other people have done it, but no one, in our crowd had ever seen anyone shoot the pier. And it wasn't because I was being cool. It was because I was stupid and wanted to keep my surfboard.
Just didn't feel like swimming in, breaking the board.
Yeah, breaking the board. Swimming in, it wouldn't have been that bad from the distance of the pier. It's just I'd have been out of a $160 surfboard that I still would have had to pay $5 a week for a few more months.
Yeah, I've never shot a pier, so.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose. I promise you that. But the feeling after I came out and the reception I got on the beach was something I'll remember forever.
I can't believe you stopped in 79. You never take trips to Galveston to hop on waves? Or?
No, I sure don't. We moved to Texas, and I probably called my old roommate in 82, and I said, hey, see if you can sell my surfboard. I'm never coming back.
Why? Why would you never go back to Charlotte? Is Texas that good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the help wanted ads section of the newspaper back then was as big as the whole newspaper back in South Carolina. I mean, this was the land of opportunity at the time, and there's no state income tax. You know, as soon as I moved here, I said, I'm going to try to be a resident of Texas forever.
What made you move to Texas?
I worked for cable TV back then. I worked with a sales agency, I guess you'd say, a subcontract sales agency called Southern Services. And we'd go to, cable TV was brand new in the country. And we'd go to new markets and open up the markets and teach people how to be door-to-door salesmen selling cable TV. And I got on in Charleston, and we went to Miami. We went to Dawson, Georgia. We came here, and we were supposed to go to Louisville, Kentucky next. And I liked it here so much, I just stayed here. And it was like, man, that was crazy money. We got paid like, I think $20, which it was a lot of money at the time, to get someone to subscribe to cable TV.
Excuse me.
And if they subscribe, we fill out a form and they give us a check for $20. We basically got all $20. But you know, if you went to, like, we hit the air base in South Carolina, they knew what cable TV was at the air base. They'd lived there. Man, we were signing like 100 people a day. You know, we were kids out of school. I mean, it was just, we could sign as many of them. I'd knock on, they lived in these quadplexes. I'd knock on all 4 doors at one time. And when they opened, I'd give my spill to all 4 of them, you know, and God, we were cleaning up. People were buying cars and paying for them in cash. And we were just cleaning up.
Talk about efficiency, knocking on 4 doors at once.
I think we had a contest that day to see who could sell the most in a day. And if you had to knock on 4 doors, one at a time, you were really getting slowed down, you know? So but when you went to areas that knew what cable TV, but then we moved to Texas and we did Grand Prairie, Texas, an old city, old population, where we hit first and they were like, the population was, I only ever had 3 TV channels. I only ever need 3 TV channels. So then they came up with this thing. It was $1 to get it for a month. And we still made our $20. So they thought if they let people buy it for $1, they'd get hooked and they'd stay. So we were paying the $1 for them because we were netting $19.
Right?
It's $1 and you don't even need to pay me. Can I just give you cable? Sure. What's your name? You know what I mean? You know, because that was the craziest move I've ever seen. Telling salesmen they can sell something for $1 and get paid $20. I mean,
well, is this like during the onset of cable? Was cable just becoming?
Oh, it's brand new. It's brand new. Yeah. It actually, I think Grand Prairie, Texas, that small town was the first town in Dallas-Fort Worth. I know it was first town in Dallas-Fort Worth to get cable TV. Cable TV was a brand new commodity. This wasn't selling brand new. No one had it. Everywhere we went, they were either old and didn't want it, or they go, oh my God, I've been waiting months for this. And it was just, you know, as many as you could sign up in a day.
Oh, it's crazy hearing these stories. $5 a week for a surfboard, and you're getting $20 per sign up for selling this cable. And it seems like that was a considerable amount of money back in the day. And thinking of that today, like how much have prices changed, and has inflation?
Well, I don't know
gone
what
crazy
does a
in your life?
surfboard cost today.
I bought mine for like $800.
Yeah, they were $160 when I was a kid. The entire time, they never went up. From the time I started surfing in maybe 7th grade till I moved out of South Carolina, they were $160, brand new surfboard every year. So
yeah, this is early 70s.
Yes, 60s, late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before they took the dollar off the gold standard.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to allude to. Like while we're here talking, we'll work Bitcoin into this at some point, but it is just hearing your stories fascinating to see what it was like back then, like being able to rent a surfboard for $5.
Yeah. Actually, you know, it was funny. Cokes were 6 cents when I was a kid. You know, if you use the numbers on that, a Coke being 6 cents, that was when I was 8, 9. I remember that. It was a nickel and a penny you'd have to put in the machine. And then do how much a Coke is today out of a machine, which is probably $2, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you use that same percentage. What's a Coke going to cost in 40 years from now?
Right.
And actually, the first 10 years of that, there wasn't any inflation because we were still in the dollar. So it's 30 years that did it, not the 40.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't think it's sustainable. No. Just looking at I was having a conversation with my cousins the other day, just talking about like high school tuition, like thinking about sending our kids to high school in the next 13 to, or for some of my cousins, like 9 to 15 years with their children, or 9 to 13 years. And if prices keep going the way they are, if you want to send your kid to a private high school, it's just not going to be, it's not going to be tenable.
We sent our kids to public school, and they did real well at public school. We waited to move because we wanted to move to this nicer neighborhood, but that neighborhood happened to be in a bad school district. Because school districts never change here. The school district's always the same. And that neighborhood that we moved to was in Arlington, but they put a lake in, and the lake was between us and South Fort Worth. And that neighborhood school district was South Fort Worth, which was one of the worst school districts around. So we waited. If you had a sibling once you started school, you could stay in the school. So we waited until we got into the better school. But our whole neighborhood was private school kids, probably except for my 2 kids and maybe 3 or 4 kids. There's only 80 people in the neighborhood, 80 houses. So there's not a ton of kids to begin with. But my 2 kids are 2 of the only kids that I know of that were in their group that got out of college in 4 years. And they went to A&M and OU. They went to major universities. They both got out in 4 years. So I believe you can get a good education in public school. It's just dependent on the public school, I guess.
I completely agree there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want private school as an option, that's getting, like, the prices are getting insane. And that's where I follow inflation, is university and private school, because mainly my generation, millennials, have been fed the idea that to be successful in life, you need to get a college degree.
Yeah, I didn't go to college. My wife has her master's. My daughter has her master's. My other daughter just has a degree. But I didn't go to college. I mean, I didn't even think about going to college. I went right into work trying to start a business.
Yeah, you seem very successful. You have your hands in a lot of things, which is what I admire about you. You were early to podcasting. Yeah. You're explaining before we hit record again that you have a wallpaper business and a sporting goods business, as well as everything you're doing with the Bitcoin stuff.
I have a hard time selling things. I'm good at creating them. I just can't get rid of them, I guess. But I did have Podcast Movement. That's I was a 4th partner in that, founder of that. It is the largest podcast convention in the country. We had 3,000 people last year in Orlando. We're in Dallas this year. We were expecting 3,500, but they were expecting 3,500. I sold my share to a big radio network. So I did sell something for the first time. And guess what? It was when Bitcoin was like 3,500. And I bought a lot of Bitcoin. I'm really excited.
Boss.
My wife was all over my ass.
How long have you been into podcasting?
I started in 2004. I say I was one of the first 100 podcasters on the planet. A lot of people say I was one of the first 50, but I'm sure there were other. But I was the first person to podcast from Panama and from Italy, and the first person to podcast in a hot tub. And those are my claims to fame in podcasting.
Well, let's dive into this. What was it? What were you podcasting about? How has this whole medium evolved since you've been into it?
Well, it's like huge now. I was podcasting. I'm a marketer at heart. I mean, so when I first started podcasting, it was for sports. I had a sporting goods store. I had several of them. Like I have several things I do now. I had the Fast Pitch TV podcast, and then I had the Gary Leland podcast, or the Podcast Pickle Show, it was called. I had a podcast directory. I had one of the first podcast directories we opened up in maybe January of 2005 called Podcast Pickle. I was in Time Magazine in 2006. They were listed 50 coolest websites. So I got into that early, and that was my main deal, as I was known as the Podcast Pickle. P. Dilly was what people called me, and so my show was the P. Dilly Show.
P. Dilly.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And that was kind of fun. I met a lot of people, and podcasting, no one knew what podcasting was, though. I mean,
what was the distribution like back then?
I don't know. If you got 1,000 listens, you were pretty damn hot. I can tell you that right now. And everybody knew everybody's. Here's a funny story. I was on a plane going to the first podcast convention. Maybe it was 2006 in California. Ontario, California. And I'm on the plane because there's not many podcasts at the time, okay? And I hear someone talking like 3 rows in front of me, and I go, Scott? Because you're hearing people's voices all the time, so you recognize these voices because you didn't have a lot to choose from in your genre. And it was a guy named Scott Fletcher. He did a podcast news thing. And I said, Scott, is that you? And I'm like 4 rows behind him, and he goes, Gary, is that you? And then some guy like 5 rows behind me goes, hey, it's Joe back here. Hey, Gary. And so none of us had ever met, but we knew our voice. We were all going to the same conference. We knew each other by our voice. You know,
that's always one of the weird things when I meet people at events or conferences. They'll walk up to me without knowing who I am and just hearing my voice. Be like, are you Marty Ben? I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. People listen to your voice. Really kind of get that down, make a connection with you. In that case, they definitely. But podcasting was really hard to do back then. You had to create your own RSS feed and put the closure tags on. I couldn't even do it. I had a guy that worked for me, and I said, hey, I think we need to get into this podcasting. I just read a clip about it. And he goes, okay, whatever. And so a week later, we were doing a podcast, and we didn't even know what the hell we were doing. And then 3 months later, we had a podcast directory that turned out to be one of the top directories on the internet until Apple came out, and it killed it. And Apple was much better. I even switched to Apple and quit using mine.
Yeah. No, it's crazy because I listen to a lot of No Agenda and Adam Curry.
Yeah, so do I. I had lunch with Adam like last fall. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Down in Austin.
So did you guys know each other back in the day? Because he's known as one of the early podcasters.
Well,
too,
he invented podcasting, him and David Weiner, and basically invented podcasting. Yeah, I knew him. Matter of fact, at that first conference, we met each other in Orlando at the first conference that I think we both were there. He had a company called Pod Show that he was trying to work where I had Podcast Pickle, going. That was my podcast directory. But Adam's, a lot of people say crazy thing about Adam, and maybe he is kind of crazy, but I like him. He's always been nice to me. And he said several things that I think he's been able to foresee and come true. When I talked to him, he has, I think, 31 Bitcoin someone gave him as a tip. And I think I can say this because I knew it because he says it on No Agenda. Back in the day when it was 50 cents or $1, someone gave him 30-something Bitcoin as a tip. And so we were eating dinner, and I said, have you cashed in? Because Bitcoin was maybe $14,000 at the time or something. I said, have you cashed in that Bitcoin yet? He goes, no way. I'm waiting. That stuff's going to be $1 million. But he did tell me, for instance, when Facebook first came out, that stock, I was listening to a show because I used to listen to it all the time. I don't have time now. So long a show. But he said, don't buy that Facebook. It's going to drop to 17. Basically what he said. And I said, I was thinking about getting it. I think I'll wait and see if he's right. And it dropped to 17.88. And I said, well, that's 17 something I'm buying. And, so, he saved me a lot of money on that call. He was right on that call.
Yeah, he's been right about a lot of things. He's a good thinker. I love that show.
And I think he picked out the Pope before the Pope was announced that it would be that guy from South America.
Really?
Yeah. I think he said the Pope's going to be him. It's because that's where they need to go and blah, blah. He had his reasoning. So he picks out a few things. I like Adam. We had dinner. We had a good time. Every time I've seen Adam, I've enjoyed his company.
Yeah, no, he's on the list of wants for this podcast. I'd love to have him on to talk about everything because he's into Bitcoin too. He's received Bitcoin from Rodolfo Novak over radio waves.
Oh, I didn't. I knew. Well, he's into that. Radio. I invited him the last 2 years just because I thought he'd like to come. I send him. We talk once in a while. We used to talk on Skype. Skype. That's something that seems to be a dying company, huh?
I'm a little ashamed that we're using Zoom right now, considering considering what the Chinese Communist Party told them to censor some people.
And
I think Skype might make a comeback as people turn away from Zoom because of the censorship.
But no, I agree. That's kind of crazy. But I liked him. And like I said, I thought he would enjoy coming to Podcast Movement. To BitBlockBoom, because he came to Podcast Movement when we started it. So I thought he would want to come. So, it's only a couple of hours for him. He's in Austin. So maybe he'll come. Yeah.
Adam, if you're listening to this, as somebody who's been to BitBlockBoom twice now, it is an incredible conference. And this is a good segue into the subject of BitBlockBoom. The reasons I like it or love it and have had an incredible time. the last 2 years, despite the midsummer Texas heat. The quality of the people that show up, the focus of the content, and the small nature and very like you feel like you have the conference and then you go to dinners and you see everybody from the conference, and it's just a get together to talk to people that you really respect and admire in the space.
Yeah, I want to keep. It's going to stay small, which has its pros and its cons. To me, it's a better conference, and like I said, I'm 65, so I'm just doing what I like to do, and I like the atmosphere of having a small conference. I just sold a big conference. Like I said, that was 3,000 people at the Podcast Movement Conference. So I'm kind of out of that, and I want to do a small conference, so it'll stay small. My thing is I kind of want, like last year, I don't know if you remember when it was over, I announced, hey, you got 2 weeks for the super discounted price. And till July to cancel of next year if you can't make it. So it's kind of a no-lose deal. I'd like to have it eventually be that when I announce that, I sell out. And people go, I'm getting my ticket because, I might not be able to get it. It's going, because we had a lot of people buy last year when I announced that. So I'm hoping it gets better and better and people do that. But also, as far as the conference goes, Saturday's really just the conference, the date you gave. But, we ended up on Sunday with a brunch, and Friday, we have a dinner that Pierre and Michael Bitstein put on, Pierre Richard from the Nakamoto Institute, Satoshi Nakamoto Institute, and we have the Citadel event. I think Matt Odell is going to do an event. I haven't heard from him. And then Thursday, we have a dinner, and we have Bitcoin and barbells, and I think we're going to get Brian Lockhart's going to do Bitcoin and bullets again. And then we have building your own server on Friday. We have a lot of stuff going on. I eventually would like this to become like people start flying in Monday because there's so many satellite events that I'm not connected with. They're just, coming in because all these people are going to be here and they want to be involved. But it's like maybe things start on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and build up to Saturday. It's like a Bitcoin week kind of thing is what I'd like to have eventually happen. Yeah,
it's crazy how sort of organic these side events have happened, like Jeff Vandrew with the Bitcoin and barbells, like you mentioned, Pierre and Michael with the barbecue the night before the Nakamoto Institute dinner. The year before that, it was a steak dinner.
Right.
And I believe Safe had a carnivore dinner after Saturday this year. Actually wound up getting into a very long, me and a group of people, Rockstar Dev, Rodolfo, I forget who else was involved in that conversation with an oil baron.
I heard about that.
trying to pitch Bitcoin to him.
I heard about that.
He was not convinced by the end of the night, but he's the people you bought. That's what I love about Texas and Dallas particularly, because there's a lot of unique personalities down there, people who just speak their mind, and Texas is truly free.
And you were talking about the heat. That could be a good thing, for us, with this year especially, so it could be another plus for us. But it is hot. And last year, Michael Goldstein and Pierre Richard have been very supportive of the event since day one. During their barbecue event last year, I think they originally had it indoors, but they sold out like in no time at all. So they wanted to get a bigger space. So they moved it at the Ferris wheel, which is outside. And I think that's fine for people like me and Pierre and Michael and people from Texas and areas. But gosh, I feel sorry for people like from Europe that came and Australia or from Canada. They're not like, you could see, I think if you went over by the fans, I think you could almost maybe 90% of the people standing from fans were above the Mason-Dixon.
No, if you just dress appropriately. I wore shorts and a T-shirt. I felt fine.
Yeah. Well, I felt fine. I'm used to it, though. It's Texas at night. It's nothing compared to the day.
I'll tell you what. I'd take the Texas heat to the South Carolina humidity any day of the week.
Yes, that is. I always agree with that. When I first moved here, it was I think it was a record year. They had over 100 degrees for 45 days or something. They even had shirts. I survived the Texas record heat wave. And I was walking around going, this isn't that bad. It's just hot.
Right.
You know how it is in South Carolina. You take a shower, you get dressed, you're going to go to work. You open the door, and before you get to your car, you're soaking wet.
Yeah, you're drenched in
Yeah,
sweat.
you're soaked. So and my wife would just die. She goes, I don't know how you live here. I can't even like get out of the shower and go in the bedroom and get dressed, because I'm soaked. I mean, and it's not from the shower anymore.
Yeah, and then it gets so humid there. You have the palmetto bugs hiding in your bathroom. You wake up to take a shower, and they're there waiting for you. It's
Yeah, there's a lot of those things. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But
so-
BitBlockBoom is going to be fun this year. I'm really excited.
So-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, why did you start BitBlockBoom? What drove you to start this conference particularly?
Well,
about
I'm into
Bitcoin?
doing stuff. I mean, and at the time, I was doing the Crypto Cousins with Tony Sacalo was my partner when we first started the show, and we wanted to do a conference, and we weren't really. I didn't even know what we were doing. I'd only been in Bitcoin like 2 months. Crypto like 2 months, and we started doing it. But it just worked, and I just wanted to do a conference. It was just going to be a glorified meetup, to be honest with you. But all of a sudden, we started. But we asked speakers. We asked Safe to come, and we were asking Pierre to come. We were asking decent people to come, and so other people outside started buying tickets. I mean, and then Saturday we did the conference, which you were at, and it turned out to be an okay conference. But Sunday. We were at the brunch. Were you at the brunch on Sunday that first time? I can't remember.
The first year I did not make the brunch. I had to jet home, but this year I made the brunch.
Yeah,
and it was
we were there,
delicious.
and we were talking. I was talking to to Safe at Moose, and Safe said to me, he goes, "I think I can truly say this is the first Bitcoin maximalist conference I've been to in North America." And we really didn't plan it to be a Bitcoin maximalist. I guess our interest was just Bitcoin, so. Everybody we asked to come speak or did anything with Bitcoin. And I kind of like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So I kind of like said, well, that's going to be our shtick, our thing is that's all I like anyway, really. So and then I just took it over myself. Tony had another conference he did. And so he backed out, and I got a hold of the conference and made it a Bitcoin maximalist conference, basically.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, again, the content's focused. It's not like a conference you go to just blow smoke up each other's ass. There's some good content about things that are forward-looking and ideas that haven't really been explored in depth. The one thing I like is that you bring somebody from South. Who's the guy from? Is he from Argentina or speaker who spoke both years about Bitcoin in Latin America?
Oh, Philippe. Ochia.
Philippe.
I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. I always do. Wichua, I believe, but it starts with an H. I can't speak Spanish. I can't even roll my tongue anyway. If I lived in South America, I would have a speech impediment.
Yeah, but I would as well.
I-
Me hablo muy poquito español,
Yeah.
pero
Poquito.
necesito practicar. Yeah.
But no, matter of fact, I just sent him an email this morning. So he's a good guy. We have a good crowd. We have, we may have a problem this year with, I can't think of names off the top of my head, with, give me just a second here. See, this is terrible that I have to look this up. Who is, oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I'm having to look at this. I can't even think of the person. Oh, Stefan. There you go. I thought of it. Stefan Lavera sent me a message the other day because he's coming in from Australia. And he sent me a message that he's concerned. He's probably my most concerned person about getting here because they had just made an announcement that they didn't plan on people being able to fly in or out of the country, one or the other, until the end of September.
Really?
Yeah, so that's the only one I really have a problem with at the moment. But he's not like canceling. He said that's just what they're saying. They haven't cracked down on it because he wants to come.
Yeah. Just try to keep you abreast of the situation.
Yeah, he just wanted to give me a heads up. It's funny, I had someone call me. You probably would know this person, so I'm not going to say his name because it doesn't matter who it is. An old-time Bitcoiner. And he calls me last week and goes, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I didn't know him. I don't know a lot of people who've been in this longer than me, but I meet him and get to know him. And that's one of the reasons I like BitBlockBoom. And he goes, I was just wondering, do you have any speaking slots left? I'm going, dude, the conference is like 2 months. You think I'm just now lining up speakers? I mean, you don't think I have that? He goes, oh yeah, I guess that was kind of a stupid question.
And so the lineup's set.
Yeah. The lineup's set. I mean, it's like I said, I may have to change out one or two. There may be someone else because I have people coming from Canada. I mean, I don't know. I would assume by into August, Canada would be open up, or I think with who's coming from Canada, they might just drive over the border and catch a flight.
Right.
Yeah, especially Francis.
Yeah, that's so let's talk about like what are the subjects we're going to be covering this summer. I know Matt and I were doing the live show, and we've got the award show with that dirtbag Al after.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the evening first, I guess, because that's the only thing set in stone as far as what we're doing. Last year, I think BitBlockBoom got over with you guys ending it at 6 o'clock. Y'all started at 5.
Yes.
So this year we'll end. The last speaker will get through at 5. And then we'll take a break from 5 to, let's say, 6:30. People can go change clothes, take a shower, sit around, eat, whatever the heck they want to do. And at 6:30, we'll come in, and by the time they get there, the bars will be rolled in. 2 bars will be rolled in, one on each side of the conference room, and we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And we'll have from 6:30 to 7, it'll just be networking, drinking, talking. And we're really fortunate that this year our platinum sponsor is Unchained Capital. So they've given us paid basically for the party. So some drinks will be, and hors d'oeuvres will be sponsored, and some drinks up to a certain amount will be sponsored. And then, but the bars will stay there, and then you guys will have the stage to do whatever you're going to do from 7 to 8. And we'll stream this. We're going to stream everything for free this year, so people can watch. And then at 8, we'll take another half an hour break for some networking or whatever, or people to get some drinks. And I figured you guys drink on the show a lot, so we might as well do some drinking during your live show, right? Get the whole place drinking.
Might as well.
I think you'll sound a lot better. And then,
it definitely leads to a more lively conversation. I can say that.
And then at 8:30, Dirtbag Al will start the Owls and Lacrosse Awards. And that'll be also streamed, and we're working with him to make up. Since I own a sporting goods store, I'm used to making plaques and trophies and stuff like that. So we're going to make those up for him here, so he doesn't have to ship them over here, and they'll just be at the event for him. And then when that's over, then we'll hang out and have some more drinks.
Sounds like a lovely day.
It does sound like a lovely day, a lovely way to end it. And we'll start at 9 o'clock, I guess, or something for people to roll in. I don't have the day figured out yet.
I'm happy to hear that you're live streaming everything, because last year people took Brian Bishop's he basically, what's he do? I forget the word. He wrote down Bitstein's speech and posted that to the internet, and people without actually having seen his speech on memeing Bitcoin went pretty crazy. It started a lot of controversy. So
yes, I remember Sunday at the brunch, Bitstein is like, hey, we need to get that out there. And I said, okay, we'll have it out there. And I think we got it out Tuesday because I had to edit it and do it. It wasn't done on the fly. It wasn't done to go out live. So this year, and then I kind of feel like Michael has gained the honor of he should kick us off Saturday, and get us started on the right track, after last year. I mean, well, it depends what time it starts, because people slowly roll in if it starts at like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Well, that's true too. So they want to put someone else for the first one and give him an hour or two to give everybody an hour or two to roll in there.
Yeah, his topic and the content of his presentation was actually very valuable.
And this year we have 2 tracks, which we only had one last year. We have the first. We're all being, that room's a pretty good sized room with a stage, so that'll be the general track or general session room. And I think we'll all start in there for the first 2 or 3, and then break out, and the tech track will be going on right next door. So if you're more interested in the tech speakers, like Michael Schmidt or Pierre is going to be on the tech track, you can just go next door for that. And then the last 2 will be back in the main room, so everybody will be together again. So we're trying to get a little big. And then Thursday night we have a dinner, which all the speakers are invited to. So you're invited. But, I was talking to Pierre last year and his wife, and they were like, yeah, we got here Thursday night for Saturday events, and we just went out to eat by ourselves. we'd like to have some place to go, and talk to some Bitcoiners. So I've done a dinner and that's sold out already. But like I said, all the speakers get to come, and then so it's a smaller dinner. It's only like 75 people. So.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this. Again, I've been twice now, and it has never disappointed. That's the thing. Like after the conference is done, people are hanging out in the hotel lobby till late at night, at the hotel bar if they keep it open.
Well, I think because it's small, like it is, and that it's Bitcoin only. It's not like crypto, which I'm not saying that to knock anyone's whatever they want to like. That's up to them. I don't care. But because they all are one subject based, there's a lot of people that talk about the same conversation. It doesn't divide up into little groups or cliques because they're all in the same clique.
No, I agree.
And people aren't in a hurry to get out. It's not like they're, also when you go to a bigger event that has, let's say, 1,000 people, like Bitcoin 2020, which might have 2,000. I'm not knocking that event either because I like that event. But when you're getting off stage, if you're someone who is kind of seen as being in the limelight, you have a lot of people coming up talking to you at one time. And it's like, you really can't stand there forever talking, because you have a lot of people that want to talk to you. So maybe with it also being a smaller crowd, you're more apt to hang out and talk longer,
Yeah, and I think the setting and the atmosphere is just perfect because again the amount of, it's like a Dunbar's number type thing. It's so small that you can actually have quality conversations with people and not get distracted by a million things going on at once. And then again, the content is on point and actually very interesting.
I get a lot of people who I talk to that'll say things like, "Oh my gosh, I was just standing there minding my business and I looked over there and there was Marty and Saifedean and Pierre and I went over and talked to him and we talked for like half an hour and I was in the conversation." Like that's like they weren't expecting to be able to talk to these people who, in a sense, you're celebrities, people who do podcasts and do videos. I mean, it's not that we think of ourselves as celebrities, and I'm not saying we really are celebrities, but you have that tendency for people who listen to you to have that effect of being someone they know and they feel comfortable with and they know who you are and they want to talk to you because they listen to you every week or they watch you every week and they want to meet you, and it's an opportunity when they can, and you're not in a rush to get out of there. So I think that's been a positive.
No, I mean, yes, I do not consider myself a celebrity at all.
Well, I understand.
And no, but I had that experience. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, really. Like I had that experience myself, going to BitDevs meetups for the first time in New York. Like being there, like people I'd only seen and read online, like Peter Todd, John Newberry, Matt Corallo, the developers particularly, and like I was shocked that I was able to get to this event and actually speak to them, and they would respond to me. And
yeah, so and that's the same effect, that people have,
Yeah.
And
No,
I doubt
agree.
they consider themselves celebrities, but at that moment in your life, to you, they were kind of a celebrity,
Yeah. No, I've told my Peter Todd story on this podcast a couple times. It was pretty brutal the first time I tried to interact with him.
I don't know this story.
So we were in Union Square, New York, and across Union Square, there's a huge clock that has something like 20 digits. It counts down to like the trillisecond or something like that. And it was 7:30 in Army time, so it was like 19:30 on the clock, and the national debt was around 19.5 trillion at the time too. And I just moved to New York, and assumed that time clock was a national debt clock. And so like to try to break the ice with Peter Todd, I looked at him. I was like, "Hey, how prescient is this? We're here at a Bitcoin meetup and there's a national debt clock across the way." And he was like, "That is a time clock." And I was like,
That's funny. One of the when I first got into Bitcoin, I'd been into Bitcoin less than a month, and they had a conference in Austin, the Texas State Bitcoin Conference, which was the Texas State Bitcoin Conference in name only. I guess they had that domain name, so it was going to be the Texas Bitcoin Conference, whether there was any Bitcoin speakers there or not. and I met Drew. I'm not sure if pronouncing his last name. Is it Bonsall with Unchained Capital?
Drew Bonsall.
Yes. Yeah. And he was like, and I went down there, talked to him into letting me in as the press, and took my video camera, and I knew nothing. I really knew nothing. I didn't understand how Bitcoin worked. I didn't understand anything. And Drew's like, I met Drew, and he goes, well, what are you filming? I said, well, I don't know anything. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I know nothing. I just wanted to come out here and learn Bitcoin, and I got a press ticket, and I wanted to get interviews because I'm going to start a podcast. And he goes, well, cool. I appreciate your honesty. And he was like really nice and helping me out, saying, hey, this is so-and-so over here and stuff. And I still remember that to this day, how helpful he was, this guy. Well, this old fart, he probably thought. He got this old geezer over here, he probably thought. But how helpful he was to me and how he wasn't judgmental that here I am at this conference and I know nothing about Bitcoin. I don't think I understood how blockchain worked, yet.
Yeah, Drew is a legend. I love Drew. He's been on this show many times, and he's one of the great minds in this space. His stuff on HODL waves and what they're doing in Unchained is incredible.
Well, he's speaking on the tech track, along with Parker, is also speaking, but he's speaking on the general track. So Parker and Lewis. So we got a good lineup this year. But the thing is, I do this lineup, way ahead of time. I'm not like I work on this conference all year. I mean, it's not like I just blow it together the last few weeks before it starts. And that's how I think, there were glitches last year, but I don't think anyone noticed them, but I did. It's not like we just throw this together at the last minute. We've been working on this since the last one ended,
Yeah. No, and I mean, I didn't notice any glitches last year. Matt and I love being a part of it. I'm honored that you would think to include us on the track, and the live episodes that we do are always some of the best and some of the most fun. And
I don't even know how I came up with this year having everybody at the drinking while yours was going on. It seems like a natural thought now, now that it's out there. And then when Alice Lacrosse contacted me, I was like, he was going to do it at some bar or somewhere. I was like, dude, I've got that room. Well, I thought I had the room till 11 o'clock, and I had it till I went yesterday to meet with him. I had it till 6. I was going, that kind of screws up all my plans, but man, we got to work on this. So I had to do some more negotiations to get to keep it till that time. I don't know why I was thinking in my mind I had it so much later. Everything's cool now. So we got it all set up. I think when they heard that there was more liquor being bought involved, they were happy to get the room.
Yeah, that'll always hook in the event staff.
Because I'm sure I sent them a message today and said, how much are the drinks there by chance? If you order them, because they're going to be different ordering them off the cart being rolled in than they are in the bar. Because they charge like 20% gratuity on everything or tax or whatever, right off the bat. And then everybody's leaving tips. Technically, no one should leave them a tip. I'm already giving 20% of the whole bill as gratuity. So, but whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. I mean,
no. And no. So I'm looking forward to the event. Where can we find out more about it? Like, are tickets sold out yet?
No, they are for anything to do with the dinner. If they go to BitBlockBoom.com, they can find out there. There's several pages on there. But if they use the code, what is it? RHR, Rabbit Hole Recap, they get 30% off.
Yeah, RHR, I believe.
Yeah, RHR. They get 30% off the price of a ticket. But we're going to, like I said, we'll be sold out by the time it happens. So they shouldn't be, messing around, because it will sell out. And I'm pretty strict on it. Last year, I was pretty strict. When I get a limit, I get a limit. I'm not like a whore going, I can get 10 more people in there.
What's the limit this year?
300.
Nice.
I think that may stay the limit. That may be the permanent limit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think if I get much bigger than that, it just is not going to be as much fun for me. It's going to be a lot more work. And 2 tracks. Like I said, I thought we'd try a second track this year, because last year, we would have someone talking and everybody be enjoying it. And then, for instance, Mike Schmidt got up there and talked. And half the audience is like, what in the hell is he talking about? Because Mike is so funny. He goes, see this mathematical formula? And he's showing a formula on the screens. He's going, you know what that means? I don't know what it means either.
He was talking about, wasn't he talking about Taproot or
Yeah,
Schnorr? I think it was Schnorr, maybe.
Yeah, but he was like showing mathematical formulas, and half the audience. So I thought we needed to like I thought that was an important part. So I thought we need to move it up. What I'd like to do next year, and if anyone who can help me with this is listening, I would like to next year try to have, from what I understand, Bitcoin Core, they have meetings throughout the year. It's at different places. Is incorporate that in one of the days before the event, or as part of it, that the Bitcoin Core people are coming to have their in-person meetings that they have.
Yeah, some core members do an in-person meeting, I think once a year, but the BitDevs meetups, which are not necessarily even run by core developers, but just enthusiasts, the Socratic seminars, that would be a good idea to have a Socratic seminar.
Yeah, see.
Maybe like the Thursday before dinner or something like that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I want to get more things. So I wasn't even familiar with that. And maybe that's what I was thinking of even, and I said the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, I think the Socratic seminars are pretty popular. There's one in Austin. I think there might be one in Dallas too. Unchained hosts the one in Dallas, or Austin, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have Unchained involved with it this year. I'm real happy because that's the reason we can do the night event, is because of them being involved. So that's basically being all thrown and probably into the event.
Yeah, no, they got a great team. They'll put out some great content. I have Parker's latest Gradually Then Suddenly blog post tabbed up here to read after we're done recording on the beach.
He's a smart guy.
He really is. He's a nice guy too.
Very, very nice guy. Yeah, everything's going great though. Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show. I'm excited to see everybody. I hope people take advantage of the discount. I hope people come. I hope a lot of things. One thing that's kind of harder about doing this conference than some other conferences, I think, is because of the fact I'm really hardcore on who can be involved, even as sponsorships goes. I've had to turn down almost everybody who's wanted to sponsor it because they're always shitcoiners or people who, think there's a lot of Bitcoiners there they can come take advantage of and turn it into a shitcoin convention, and, there is no boss marketing company for Bitcoin, to get to sponsor it, where there would be if I was a Bitcoin Cash convention. I'm sure I could get a bunch of money from Roger Ver. So that makes it harder to a degree, I
know that struggle. But no, that's another thing I love about it is you're principled. The content is very focused on Bitcoin, which is what I'm looking to get out of a conference. Like in New York, some of the conferences that come through there, it's just too all over the place that I just like to hang out outside the conference and meet with Bitcoiners when they're done networking inside the confines of the conference of the week.
I've done, my wife always gives me a hard time when I come home from conferences because I never really spend a lot of time in the conference room. Personally, I feel I can watch all that stuff on video later. I spend all my time when I go to a conference in like the hallways, I call it, networking in the hallways, talking to people, going to the events at night. I do much better and learn much more information, I feel, or information I want from networking with that crowd than I do sitting in a chair all day taking notes. It's just what works for me, though.
No, yeah, I agree. But don't sell yourself short. I do actually like the presentations at BitBlockBoom.
But I try to have good people. I mean, if you want presentations, I try to have good people there. Yeah. So I'm not saying I don't have great presenters by any means. I think I have some of the best. I'm just saying that's not how I learn, I think. But then again, no, hell, I don't know. Being a old boomer, I don't know if I remember anything anymore anyway.
That's a good... Ooh. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me.
I try to use that boomer card as an excuse whenever I can.
What's it like being a boomer Bitcoiner? You're running nodes. You're on Lightning. What's that been like?
Well, it's some things are harder to work with. Like Matt helped me on setting up my node. Be honest with you, we actually talked on the phone, I think, and he helped me. But some things don't. I've been on the net a long time. I started my first e-commerce site in '96. So it's not like I've just done this, but I can't code, and a lot of things I'm doing for the first time with working with this. So as far as setting up nodes and stuff, it was kind of, but I set up a Start 9. Are you familiar with those?
No, what's that?
It's a Raspberry Pi mini server that you can spin up, and it has a full copy of the blockchain on it, has a wallet on it, it runs Tor. and it has an app that comes to your iPhone or Android phone that you can run everything with the app. I met them at Tone's conference in Vegas. And he's speaking. Matt is with them, or speaking Matt Hill on the tech track. But it's like the easiest thing I've ever set up out of the Casa, out of the Huddle. I mean, out of everything. I just actually plugged it in, downloaded the app on my phone, put in the serial number for the Start 9 server, and in like a minute, I was in business. And then I've downloaded. They have a Tor communication app on there called C-Cups, I think it's called, Cups. I can look at the server. I've got a full copy of Bitcoin, a pruned copy. And it was the easiest buy. I'm interviewing him Monday for Crypto Cousin Show because I want to find out. It looks like it is a really good tool. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Start 9, you ought to look at that. When I saw it, I just bought one just to screw around with it.
Yeah, I gotta look into it. I haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I'm excited I'll definitely go to that presentation at BitBlockBoom.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people, through BitBlockBoom, though, and that's what's been good for me as a boomer. I just like meeting people and associating with people and getting to know new stuff. But, we're starting a TV show. You probably don't know that. There's a TV network called BizTalk TV Network, and they have, I think, 80 channels that are affiliates across the country. They're in Charleston, South Carolina, Dallas, Houston, all the major cities. And I think next Thursday we record the first episode of the Bitcoin Boomer Show.
Hell yeah, who's on it with you?
It's just me, and I'll bring people on, kind of like I do the crypto, kind of like you do. But they have like a cameraman there that does all the work. I just show up in the studio and say, "Here's who we're bringing on," and he does all the rest.
Well, let me know if you ever need a guest to come on.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely planning on bringing you on. That's for damn sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I definitely plan on bringing you on. I think we do 13 episodes the first season. So, yeah, you'll be getting a call from me real soon.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get to people, too, TV.
Well, I figure most boomers watch TV. I don't consider myself the normal boomer. I am a boomer, but I don't consider myself the normal boomer. The normal boomers are the people I hang out with, who I get really bored real quick because they just want to talk about hanging out at their house or playing golf, which golf's fine, but I don't have time for that,
The normie boomers.
Yeah.
The normers.
So I'm kind of hoping that maybe the station believes that, or the network or whatever you want to call it, believes that their target market is boomers that have money, and older people that have money, and they felt like this would be a great show for their boomer population that they could sell, so.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm very excited to see what that's like. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, it'd be nice just to walk in the studio and just do my shtick and get out of there and leave.
Yeah. That'll, yeah, let me know when that drops. I want to look into that.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know the local channel because it's on air. It's not a cable channel. It's an on-air channel. Okay. So I don't know how that works, but I know a lot of people have dropped cable and have antennas now. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I know they're in 80-something markets. They have 80-something affiliates run the show.
Hey, any way you can chill Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a good way. It can't hurt. It's 5 minutes from here, and I drive over there for an hour, and I can talk. So.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Gary, it's been a pleasure. I'm very excited for BitBlockBoom. I can't wait to get back to Dallas. I think it'll probably be the first traveling I do out since, gosh, I don't even remember when.
We're trying to find a sponsor for masks. I think those would make a great collector's piece for BitBlockBoom. BitBlockBoom mask sponsored by.
Yeah, if
anyone wants to sponsor those, call me.
Go to bitblockboom.com, at Gary Leland on Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there anything else you want to get out to the freaks there before we wrap up here?
Let me look real quick. I think that can we give away a free ticket?
Yeah, we certainly can.
How can we do that? What do we do? Let's have a contest of some kind that I can check and give them a free ticket for listening.
Do you have a trivia question that you can ask off the top of your head? Somebody can DM me the answer.
A trivia question. I'm sure I have a lot of trivia questions, but now that you've asked me, that makes it kind of hard, Marty. that you asked me to come up with a trivia question. And I don't want people to follow me and do that crap, to win it,
No, I don't want that either.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Okay, why don't you think of a trivia question, and I'll post it. I'll post it at the end of the episode before I post it to the post it next week.
That sounds good.
So that makes sure everybody listens to the whole episode.
Oh, that sounds
to get to the trivia question.
That sounds good. Yeah, because I should be able to think of one, but I can't. You know what I do want to know though? I'd like to know when. Oh, this could be the question. The first person to send me a message that says the exact date of when the first time anyone ever saw anything about Bitcoin. The first time Satoshi posted anything would be the first time.
That'd be the white paper, right?
Yeah, well, what day was it posted? Isn't that a trivia question?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So what day was that posted? What day was that? What would that be the first time? Or was there like maybe a post earlier that said, hey, I'm working on this thing called Bitcoin?
Well, is it public posting or private emails?
No, public posting. First time people saw something about Bitcoin.
All right. You've got the trivia question, freaks. Anybody looking for a free ticket to BitBlockBoom?
And you just tag at Gary Leland and tag at BitBlockBoom. Don't even tag me. Tag at BitBlockBoom.
Yeah. Respond to the tweet that this podcast was announced on.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And then I will first person to get it. Is that what I should do, or should I do like a drawing out of the winners, out of the people who get it right, or what should I do? How do we want to do that?
I think it's your giveaway.
Well, but I'm easy.
I like first. I don't know how to do like the randomized stuff on Twitter.
I don't either. I don't want to learn that either.
Yeah, unless I were to, like, you would have to write the names on paper, put them in a hat, and then you have to have the contestants trust that you're doing it.
And they can't verify it.
Exactly. So first may be the best way.
That sounds like a good plan to me. So that would be the contest is, because I have something I want to. That's a good information there. Makes them do a little research because nobody knows that off the top of their head.
I might.
Do you really? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm not going to say it now because I will answer the question and defeat the purpose.
Well, I have no idea when it is.
Yeah. Should we make it harder? Let's make it harder for the freaks.
Okay.
The exact date and time, UTC time.
Oh, there you go.
Down to the second.
That sounds good. And now I got to find this so I can check it and see who won.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea. I've never needed that piece of information.
It's I know exactly where I was when this stuff happened.
Okay. So that's the clue. You get one free general admission ticket to BitBlockBoom. Yeah.
Well, get on it, freaks. Gary, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure learning about your history, learning that you're from Charleston, you're a surfer, free spirit. Really admire your approach to life. Like you were saying before we hit record too, that things just work out. You have that mentality if you're a good person.
Yeah, I don't worry about anything. Everything works out. It always does. 65 and everything's worked out. I don't think it's all going to go to hell my last 15 years of life. Yeah, that's how I look at it. I'm on the downstroke now.
You got more than 15 in you, Gary.
Maybe I got 20. There's a certain point you just start drooling and stuff probably, and you have a drool cup you carry with you, and no one wants to talk to you because you're filling your drool cup up.
Well, here's to pushing off the drool cup as long as possible.
Thanks.
All right, Gary. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thanks. Enjoyed it.
That's all we got this week, freaks. Peace and love.